Good morning, everyone. Great to be here. Always great to be on Long Island with all of you. Thank you for coming. Before we begin, I want to make a few acknowledgments of some special guests that have joined us. Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone. Nassau County Executive Ed Mangano. Dr. Bruce Stillman. The amazing Kevin Law. He wrote, it says it right here. Okay. Senator Carl Marcellino. Assemblywoman Michelle Solages. Assemblyman Andrew Rea. Assemblyman David McDonough. Suffolk County Presiding Officer Dwayne Gregory. All my friends and colleagues in local government, and anyone else who wants a special recognition, just raise your hand. We got lots of time. It's a great day on Long Island. It's a proud day on Long Island and here at Cold Spring Harbor, the National Labs, and of course the great state of New York. You're going to hear from a few people today who will tell you about the amazing potential of the new Center for Therapeutics Research. First, you will hear from Dr. Bruce Stillman, President and CEO of Cold Spring Harbor Labs. And then we will hear from Governor Andrew Cuomo. And we will then hear from Senator Carl Marcellino and Assemblywoman Michelle Solages. But first, I'm here to tell you a bit about how we get to a place in time like this. And it's important just to reflect on how dramatic the way we do economic development in the state of New York has changed, how significant that change is, and how it leads to events like this. The governor shifted from what we refer to as a top-down approach to economic development when Albany felt they knew what was in everybody's best interest, and a very few number of people made important decisions all across the state, to what I call a more distributed model, a more strategic and collaborative model, where really you build on your assets, you create your strategic plans, you imagine your own economic future here on Long Island. And the governor supports your vision, and not only does he support it in terms of empowering you to make your own strategic plan, but literally to really help significantly direct the resources of the state of New York behind your vision. So, of course, when you do a strategic plan for Long Island, you invest in your anchor institutions, and we believe in the clusters and the strength of certain clusters in the economy. So we invest in the life sciences economy here as part of Kevin's plan and Stuart's plan and the whole Long Island Regional Economic Development Council. So whether it's Cold Spring Harbor Labs or Stony Brook or Northwell or Brookhaven or Hofstra, we've really invested in the entire industry. It's not just one project, it's really in all of these anchor institutions which together create a compelling economic opportunity and ecosystem around life sciences. Whether it's life sciences or whether it's agribusiness or tourism or technology, these are the investments that you select for good reason. They have the most potential, kind of the highest return on investment of the state's money. And consequently, you have become, as you know, many of you are intimately involved in this biomedical research center that you have and cluster that you have here. You may be familiar that the state, with the governor's leadership and support of the legislature, is investing $25 million of the $75 million for this project between the construction, the outfitting and the operation, so it's a significant investment. But again, the state's investment is leveraged by other funds, be it federal or private here. And we know there are dozens of researchers who are being added to the team here, which will make obviously very important contributions to the mission of Cold Spring Harbor Labs. I want to thank the amazing Kevin Law and just give him an extra shout out, because the work of the Regional Council has been important. What's so great is the governor has gotten so many people across the state off of the sidelines. Economic development used to be a spectator sport. Now it's really a sport of active participation in all these regions. And it's important that the way the governor has really espoused holistic economic development. So whether you're talking about the clusters, or you're talking about expanded rail infrastructure, or you're talking about the ecology on Long Island, or downtown revitalization like we've seen this year in Hicksville, creating great places to live, investing in the infrastructure, whether it's reverse commuting, investing in leading edge 21st century industries, investing in the workforce, which we do, investing in innovation like this project really represents. That's the governor's holistic vision for economic development, and it has been really implemented so well here on Long Island. You're talking about the region of the state that has won more of Governor Cuomo's REDC competitions than any other region of the state. So your Long Islanders have done a great job, and Kevin and Stuart and the whole REDC has done a great job. Please join me now in welcoming Dr. Stillman, whose vision we are breaking ground on today. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Howard, for your leadership of economic development in New York State. It's been fantastic, and I want to particularly thank you for your support of Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory. So welcome to the laboratory. Like all great advances in health and medicine and agriculture that we also work on, these breakthroughs are grounded in basic fundamental science. And this is especially true at Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, since our science is driven by understanding how cells work in our body. Cancer and neuroscience research at Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory is really at the major forefront of new discoveries and is having a very high medical impact, as you'll hear. Thanks to the vision of New York State leaders, the many dedicated public servants, and especially our private supporters, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory remains one of the world's leading research centers in the life sciences. This new project that we're starting today will continue Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory's leadership into the future. We are proud to be listed, the entire campus, to be listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And among the most important buildings on this campus is the Demrick Laboratory, which we are celebrating today. The rich history of this building was completed in 1953 and continues with a 20,000 square foot facility, which is going to be dedicated to advancing cancer treatment. There is an obesity epidemic in the United States, and this is driving an increase in certain types of cancers, particularly cancers of the pancreas, the liver, and the colon. Moreover, we know that the brain controls what we eat, how much we eat, and how our body responds to that nutrition. So understanding how our entire body responds to nutrition will be the focus of the new research in this newly renovated building. When completed, the state-of-the-art facility will house Cold Spring Harbor's world-renowned molecular biology and genetics and expand it to understand the relationship between nutrition, metabolism, and cancer. The commitment from New York State made possible our plans to move forward with this center. Today would not have been possible without Governor Cuomo's embracing our vision for this center. And we're also extremely grateful to the leadership of the Senate, my Majority Leader, John Flanagan, and also our representative and friend, Senator Carl Marcelino, for their support of this infrastructure project. And special thanks to Assemblyman Chuck Levine, the Village of Laurel Hollow Mayor Dan DeVita, who's here, and you've heard many times the LIA President Kevin Law. And I want to emphasize what Howard said about the regional economic councils. These are very, very important economic drivers, and particularly on Long Island. So thank you, Kevin, for what you do. With the help of Governor Cuomo, Senator Marcellino, and our public and private sectors, Cold Spring Harbor will continue to transform the way basic science research is done, searching for answers to science's most important challenges, and that will positively change the lives of children and adults suffering from disease. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Governor Cuomo, to whom we are indebted for his leadership in New York, for his efforts in championing scientific research. This is really something that I think needs to be emphasized in this country, and this is happening in New York. For his emphasis on biotechnology on Long Island, and particularly, and I think this is very notable in this state, for his emphasis on building new infrastructure. For his interest in all of these areas, the health and welfare of New Yorkers and the public at large is going to be well served. So please join me in welcoming the 56th Governor of the state of New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's an exciting day, and a day a long time coming. Something like today doesn't just happen. It takes months and months of planning and execution and overcoming a lot of obstacles. So it's an exciting day. First, to Dr. Stillman, God bless you, and God bless the people who work here, who do not just great scientific work, but they've helped countless lives. Dr. Stillman, let's give him a round of applause. To my Assembly colleagues, Senator Marcellino, Assemblyperson Szilagyi, good to be with you. To the County Executive of the great County of Suffolk, County Executive Balone, and the great County of Nassau, Ed Mangano, pleasure to be with you. I'm not going to mention Kevin Law because his ego is big enough already. And to the Larson family, who I'm going to mention in a moment, thank you for being here today. And to Howard Zemsky, who has been such a powerful asset for the state of New York. He heads economic development statewide. He does it for the grand sum of $1 a year, which we passed a special law. We don't tax the dollar, so it's better than it sounds. You get the full dollar. Plus, he gets the joy of working with me every day, which is priceless, right? Economic development now is harder and different than it has been in the past. The world is more complicated, the economy is more complicated, and to come up with an economic vision for the state is more complicated. Howard's point was the old way doesn't work, that was for sure. A bunch of people sitting around in Albany saying, I think this would be good for Long Island, all one-off projects. It doesn't work that way anymore. And it's multidimensional. To make the economy work, you have to have a lot of functions that work. You have to have affordable housing. You have to have a transportation network. You have to have a cluster economy, not just singular businesses, but businesses that work together. Dr. Stillman is exactly right. I think the greatest long-term asset to economic development is what we did with the Long Island Railroad, which is finally going to get modernized. Over 100 projects. They talked about it for 70 years. It was never done. The LIRR was built in 1934. Basically, no changes were made. When you hear that radio report in the morning that says there are delays on the LIRR because there's a delay on the track, they mean literally the track, because it's one track, you know. God forbid a squirrel dies on the track, delays 3 million people. So building a second track, building a third track, building new stations, multi-billion-dollar project. And we've gotten that approved and we've gotten that done. And that is going to help transportation, not just within the island, but getting into New York City, getting into other areas, which is so important to business. But, you know, it requires an openness to change, and change is not easy. We like to think, conceptually, change is a good thing. Everybody says change is a good thing. You in favor of change? Yes, I'm in favor of change. Husband and wife at the breakfast table in the morning. Wife looks at the husband and says, you know, things have to change. And the husband says, oh, yes, things have to change. He's talking about her changing. She's talking about him changing, right? We like control. We like to continue doing what we're doing. But this economy, you have to change. And you have to be willing to admit, when you look in the mirror, what you don't do well. Why were other parts of the country and the world excelling economically and New York wasn't? What were they doing that we weren't doing? Which was hard for us because we're New Yorkers. We have a healthy dose of arrogance. And the initial response is, well, nobody can have an idea that we don't have here in New York because we're New York. But the truth is there were other parts of the world that were doing well. And that was the charge for Howard Zemsky, come up with a new vision for economic development. And be open, be candid, and then have the tenacity and the persistence to actually get it done. We're at Cold Spring Harbor today, which is hallowed ground, right, for scientific research. 8 Nobel Prizes won right here. You can almost feel when you walk onto the grounds that you are in a special place and great things have happened here. And it's very true. And the potential that we have on Long Island in this biomedical field, biotechnology field, I think is unprecedented. I think it is unprecedented. I think we haven't maximized it, but all the pieces were here. And when, if you ask the question, well, why haven't we maximized it? What have other places done? Go to Israel, which is probably the best place on the country for research and commercialization of the research. Technion Institute, which we just seduced to come to New York City with Cornell. But whether it's Israel or it's Silicon Valley or it's Route 128, it's all the same lesson, that the academic scientific research space married commercialization and what they call technology transfer in a way we did not do in the state of New York. We have great scientific academic research facilities, and we have great commercialization facilities, but the connection was never made the way it was in other places. There was science and research, and then there was another world that did commercialization. What Silicon Valley was saying, 128 was saying, they were saying, no, it's a marriage between the two. It's not science for the sake of science. It's not research for the sake of research. It is science and research for the sake of creating a product that can be commercialized and have an economic impact and help people. So why is the state investing $25 million here today of a $75 million facility? Because we believe we're going to create jobs and spin-off businesses by developing this center. And in many ways, this center is the focal point of this marriage and expedited transition, bringing these two worlds and two cultures together. Now, Cold Spring has already created spin-off businesses because they've come up with devices that just happened through persistence to become commercial enterprises. But we've never done it purposely, organized, and institutionally. Not just here on Long Island. We haven't done it across the state. And that is one of the fundamental changes that we've had to make. Now, Cold Spring Harbor, together with the other related facilities on Long Island, you put them together, there is more talent and capacity here than anywhere in the country. Research triangle. You know, we have a pentagon here, right? You put together Northwell and Feinstein and Hofstra and Brookhaven and Cold Spring. You know, you have tremendous potentiality of development and commercialization. And that is an economy unto itself. Government doesn't create jobs. Government doesn't create an economy, but government can incentivize and seed and stimulate. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Government as an investment banker for a new industry. And I believe if we do this right, we can own the space on biomedical research, biomedical technology, and all we need to do is create that connectivity and synergize the existing operations. It doesn't diminish scientific research, and it doesn't diminish business and commercialization. It actually enhances both. The more inventions that come out of Cold Spring Harbor and get commercialized, the more notoriety for Cold Spring Harbor, the more finances for Cold Spring Harbor, the more people get attracted, the more commercial devices, the more minds coming to Long Island. And the positive synergy helps both. They talk about cluster economies. This is the potential strongest cluster economy for Long Island. I'm convinced of it. And every study has said just that. So now we just have to make it happen, right? And that's what today is all about. Opening this center, which is part of developing this cluster and the connectivity with all the other existing organizations. So the state investing money to create jobs, to help taxpayers, to provide opportunity. That's the business we're in. But there's another reason also. The faster you get these inventions, these discoveries to market, the more you help people. And when Dr. Stillman was talking about the things they're working on, I mean, working on curing types of cancer and taking that genome research where we now have the fingerprint and finding out what treatments work best for what diseases with that genomic index. That is everything. That is the future. You can literally save lives. And Cold Spring Harbor has done that. We have a young lady with us here today, very young, Emma Larson, who had a rare neurological issue, which was spinal muscular atrophy, and everyone said there was nothing you can do about it. Her parents took her everywhere, as any parents would, and they kept getting turned down and turned down and turned down. With this condition, mommy and daddy did it, no doubt. With this condition, 2 years old, she was having trouble crawling. She was having trouble holding her head up. And there was work going on here at Cold Spring Harbor where Professor Kramer had come up with an discovery that he believed could help if he could expedite the clinical trials and get it to market. And she was the first young lady to receive these clinical trials. 2 years later, she is here, she is up, she is giving me dirty looks. which means she's a wise judge of political horseflesh. And her life is better because of what they did here at Cold Spring Harbor. So if New York State can help create jobs and build the economy and provide opportunity, and we can do it in a space that is saving lives and improving the quality of life, there's nothing better. And that's what today is all about. Thank you.
See, ladies and gentlemen, that's why he's governor. He stole half my speech relating to Emma. But it is most important, the work that is done here, the work that is being done here, and the work that we're here to foster and to improve and increase is monumental. The future is before us, and it's bright because of what the men and women, the researchers of this fantastic facility are doing. The work will sow benefits that you cannot imagine, and we cannot imagine it, because they're working on things to help young people, to help old people, to cure diseases that have heretofore been considered incurable. And people who've had them have said, my life is over because I've got this disease, there's no hope. This place provides hope. It's not the buildings, it's not the cement and the steel and the bricks and mortar that we're talking about here, it's the people. The researchers who work in those laboratories, who do the work, who bring it forward, who make the discoveries and push it and say, here, Mr. Stillman, we've got something great here. Let's move forward with this. And the people in Cold Spring Harbor Labs have been always a positive thing. It's one of the jewels of Long Island. I consider it one of the jewels of the 5th Senate District. And I'm very proud to represent these people because the work they do is phenomenal at best. It's phenomenal. You can't say thank you often enough. And you can't say how grateful we all are because we're all going to benefit from it. This young lady is benefiting from it right now. Her parents are benefiting from it right now. And that's important. And there'll be countless others that will benefit it before. Some years ago, I remember standing with a fellow in Oyster Bay Hamlet, where I come from. And there was a governor up on a showmobile making a speech. His name was Mario, first name. Last name, I think, was Cuomo. The fellow I was standing next to, his first name was Rudy. He was chasing his kid to keep him in line, a fellow by the name of Andrew, running around. And we were both impressed. I was in particular, but Rudy paid a lot of attention. The governor spoke off the cuff. He spoke for about 20, 30 minutes. He was on point, clear, made his points, made his objections, had the audience entranced. We all paid attention. It was an interesting speech. And I said to myself, not a bad profession. I think I might want to try that one day. So as long as the governor's sitting in that seat that says go, I don't have a shot there. But I made my point that I was going to get involved in his political business. Rudy obviously did. He went on to bigger and better. And it was because I think that we were impressed and enthralled by the words that were spoken by Mario Cuomo on that particular given day. And it was a beautiful day. But we're here today to open this facility, to create a new place where new discoveries are going to be made, and people like Emma are going to be helped. We're all going to be helped. So let's keep that in mind. And I know we've done it before. Let's just give a round of applause to the people who do the actual research, the researchers that work here. They're the ones that are going to do it. They're the key to it all. It's my pleasure to introduce my colleague in the Assembly, Mikhail Solagis.
Thank you, Senator Marcelino. And please give him another round of applause. It's a pleasure to be here for this historical milestone. As you know, Cold Spring Harbor is an anchor for our community and for our economy. Once as a little girl, I wanted to intern someplace, and I came right here to the east, to Cold Spring Harbor, because it's the nucleus of what we call of innovation. And I couldn't be more excited about the Center for Therapeutic Research project. This new center will attract world-class scientists and cutting-edge research to develop next-generation therapies that will help people all around this beautiful globe. And it will also have an impact here at home. It will bring jobs, new investment, and a new energy to Long Island. Now, we couldn't be here today without Governor Cuomo. Since day one, the governor has been a friend to Long Island. He supported critical investments in our environment, our infrastructure, and our economy. And he's been a particular friend and a strong champion in the biotech sector here on Long Island. And today's groundbreaking is yet another example of his commitment to ensuring that Long Island, our beautiful, beautiful island, is a frontier of research and development. So I thank him for his leadership, and I want to thank everyone here that made this wonderful day possible. Congratulations.
That really concludes the program, but to invite you all to join us outside, we're going to do a ceremonial groundbreaking now. Thank you very much for your attendance this morning and participation.
Okay, let's hold it up and smile at the camera. We're going to throw on 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right. Done this before.